Ladies and gentlemen, I just dropped a thing. There we go. Hi. For real now. How are you? How are things? Everything's fine, I'm sure. No issues, no problems here. Everything's awesome. At least according to a song I heard once. I think it wasn't really that catchy, so it didn't really stick with me that much. What's next? Well, we're doing this next. But when we get to Oblivion, we're going to go ahead and finish up the Mages Guild, and then go do the city quests, and then do the town quests. There's only 2 of those we're doing. Then we'll probably do the Fighters Guild. Then we'll do the main quest. Well, we'll probably actually do the Dark Brotherhood next, because I don't think the Dark Brotherhood negatively intersects with the main quest. Anyone remember this game? I'm actually speaking honestly. Because I generally hear one of 3 things when it comes to this game. Thing 1 is, oh my god, it's an amazing game. Thing 2 is, secret of what? And thing 3 is, yeah, I've heard it's an awesome, amazing game. And those pretty much tend to be the 3 perspectives I see on this. I literally just muted this. Why are you unmuted? I have a big old story to tell you guys, but it's a really boring story. Is anyone up for a boring story? Oh, you might wonder why we don't have the remake up yet, and why that says Squaresoft. The game doesn't release for a frickin' hour. I'm really getting sick of this crap. It comes out this day. At like noon. Why does anybody do that? Why would any... It's a PC game. Why would any game deliberately release in the middle of the day? I don't actually understand that at all. Hey, so the thing that just interrupted me, it's a message from Comcast. Did you know that you can improve your internet performance by rebooting your modem? It's literally all it is. It's just a big old thing saying, hey, did you know? And it's like this massive thing, like, hey, this is something you could totally do. It will make your speed go super fast. It's amazing. Ridiculous. I thought about actually pulling it out, but there were issues with that. Once upon a time, I lived back in California, which is where I was born, actually. And I was fortunate enough, and I've said this before, I was actually very privileged as a kid, and I don't mean that in the current meme, it's horrible status. I mean, I had good things growing up. I had parents who cared about me and loved me. I had people and my family and friends who encouraged me and who allowed me to stretch out and figure out what the things were that I liked and the things that I was interested in. It's how I get into theater. It's how I got into acting. It's how I got into voice acting. It's how I got into directing and television productions and music. And of course, it's how I got into video games. Now, I also happen to have a mother who was a pharmacist. Now, that may sound like a weird thing, but she was a pharmacist in the 80s and 90s, and I know some of you don't know what that means. But let's just say that even to this day, there is an actual shortage of pharmacists here in the United States. It's been getting better in the last like 5 or 6 years, but a good pharmacist was in such high demand that she made pretty decent money. Now, granted, we lived in California, so you got to figure in cost of living into that. But the point is, she had spare money to be like, hey, son, who she totally called Lore. Hey, Lore. Would you like to have something to go along with that video game thing you got? And I had the choice to pick one magazine subscription. And I did my research, and I looked at all the magazines of the time, and there were several. Quite a few magazines that were out at the time. And remember when there was like 10 video game magazines? And all of them were like constantly vying for whatever. Anyways, to skip ahead in my story a little bit, the one I picked was Nintendo Power. And Nintendo Power, back when it was awesome, which was basically most of its run up until like 98 or 99 or so, was pretty awesome. And they legitimately threw themselves into the work. They had like custom artists who drew for the games, and they talked about the games themselves and how they played, in addition to like actual strategies and stuff. They had little comics, some of which I actually still have. In fact, I actually still have the literal Nintendo Power that I'm about to talk about. Now, it's in super storage because those are old magazines from the 90s, so they haven't really maintained all that well over the years. But my Nintendo Power, there was an issue about Secret of Mana. I'm sure some of you who were around at the time or who played it know what it is. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. They actually did 2 issues on Secret of Mana. But there was one in particular that really caught my attention. I was just reading it and brushing up on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. This is such a cool thing. Now, Lore Mom, was observant. It's actually something she kind of drilled into me when I was young. Pay attention. I used to be the thing that she constantly told me, pay attention, Lore, because she totally called me Lore. Pay attention. And I'm like, okay. But she paid attention too. And the reason I bring this up is because I never asked her for this. But one day when she came home from work, she said, oh, by the way, I got you a rental. This is back when renting, games was actually really, really common. It was pretty much the predominant way of trying out new games for, people like me. And she had rented me some, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was super excited about it. And it's funny because she was like, okay, I'm getting worried about how excited you are about a video game. And I was like, Mom, no, you paid attention to the thing I was reading and the thing I was interested in, and you got it on your own initiative. That's really thoughtful and sweet. And she's like, oh, well, yeah. And I gave her a really big hug. And then we had dinner and we talked about what was going on with her work today. Because I wasn't one of those kids who would grab a thing and then run off and play with it immediately. I was one of those kids who would let everything come in their own time because I was raised to be very polite. I guess I don't have a better way to put that. That's another thing that's been drilled into me since I was young. So once we finished dinner, I was like, all right, I got like an hour before I got to go to bed. So I plugged Secret of Mana into my SNES, and I plopped down in front of the TV, and I'm like, all right. And I fell in love with it so hard. Something about the combination of the brilliant music by Hiroki Kikuta, who's done almost no other music in his career. Like, this is basically his only real game right here. The brilliant music and the very distinctive art style. Like, I've always been a bit of a fan of good sprite work. Secret of Mana, in my opinion, has very good sprite work. It's not the best, but it was definitely very distinctive and very visually impressive. And the very concept of an action RPG, basically the perfect merger of Final Fantasy and Legend of Zelda, all of it just clicked with me instantly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to play this tomorrow when I get off school. Loved it, right? Just fell in love with it. Then and this was all before it really clicked with me that it had co-op. So I took it over to my friend Vincent's, because I didn't have the thing that Vandalia just asked about. I didn't have the triple port. I had to go to his house, because he was the one with all the gadgets. His mother didn't make as much money as my mother did, but his mother also didn't spend any time with her son. So she was one of those, I'm going to buy you whatever toy you want kind of parents, if you know what I mean. I don't want to speak ill of her, that's not the point. This is just the facts of the situation. So he had the triple port thing. And so me and Joel and Vincent went over there and we plopped down and we all sat down. I picked the Sprite, which is funny because I didn't realize at the time what I was picking and that it would actually end up being my favorite character to play as. And we all sat down and we just started playing, and we had an absolute ball with it. We actually made a weekend of it, just playing Secret of Mana that weekend, the three of us. It was really, really awesome. As I talked about in my rumination, which came out just last Friday, this game wasn't the first ARPG, and it wasn't the first co-op game. But it is what I like to call a codifier. I want to talk about that really quickly. It's actually funny to me. I really feel like I did a very good rumination on Secret of Mana, and most of the comments have been people telling me, well, actually, that's not the first ARPG, and then they name some other game that came out first, which qualifies as an ARPG, and I find that funny, that that's the majority of the comments I've gotten on the rumination. It is true, though. This is not the first ARPG. Just like, I don't know, Wolfenstein 3D, or Doom, actually, is probably a better example, was not the first FPS. Just like Command & Conquer and Dune, or actually, Warcraft is better. So, just like Warcraft 1 and Command & Conquer are not the first RTSs. And Grand Theft Auto 3 is not the first open world game, or the first crime game. But we point to those games because those are the codifiers. Those are the ones that took that concept and brought it to everyone's attention. If we want to go back to the actual originator of a genre, we got to go back usually to the early 80s and often to the 70s with the really, really old games to actually get to the beginning of a genre. Which is why I usually don't care about that, because it... I mean, when you get that back that far, you're getting to the point where the genre lines just kind of start blurring, right? So having said that, This game was a big codifier for ARPGs, and basically, in many ways, can be considered the first really successful ARPG, and is probably one of the biggest definitive reasons why ARPGs have kind of spread nowadays to the extent that they have. We can also say definitively, and you know, thank you, Jethro. You can buy them now at $5.99 a share. No, I'm kidding. But you can say definitively that this game directly inspired Kingdom Hearts, because we know it did. Because several of the developers who worked on this game worked on Kingdom Hearts and were literally drawing ideas and concepts from this game into Kingdom Hearts. So anybody who likes Kingdom Hearts, you're welcome. And of course that co-op thing. God, do you know how much I want co-op in Kingdom Hearts 3? It's not happening. It's not happening. It'll never happen. We'll never have a Kingdom Hearts co-op game. But it would be awesome. I also tend to be a big sucker for co-op, like a huge sucker for co-op, to the point where I will usually look at a game that's like average, and it will elevate in my mind significantly if it has proper co-op. And I want to stress that word, like Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, that's not proper co-op. It is co-op, but it's not proper co-op, right? This is proper co-op. Divinity Original Sin is proper co-op. Neverwinter Nights, proper co-op, you know. Right? So, that being stated, grab this over here. I haven't actually used this in a bit. I've been playing Elder Scrolls. I need to know how the volume is, because SNES always sounds different than the other stuff I stream. Oh, by the way, you're probably wondering why the hell we're playing the SNES game. Like, in case you missed it, just to reiterate this, the Psalm port, remake, whatever it is, doesn't come out for a frickin' hour. So, yeah. Excellent, Carbon. Guys, it's okay. Carbon's gone. We can all relax. $93. Wow. That's actually impressive. Darkness sweeps the troubled land as Mana's power fades. People await a hero who will wield the sword. Excalibur, Herald, Gigas. The blade has had many names, for it has been celebrated in myths and legends throughout time. But all of these speak to just one weapon, the Sword of Mana. He only has one canon name as far as I'm concerned. Oh, sorry. Using the power of mana, a civilization had grown strong. In time, mana was used to create the ultimate weapon, the Mana Fortress. This angered the gods. They sent their beasts to destroy the fortress. A violent war rocked the world, and mana seemed to disappear. Before all was lost, a hero with the mana sword smashed the fortress. They really liked that word, smashed, in this era. Though civilization had been destroyed, the world was peaceful once again. But time flows like a river, and history repeats. They do kind of ruin everything. Also, there's probably no gods in this setting. No, seriously. Hey, guys, wake up! God, dude. Whoa, whoa. Shh, quiet! The other will find us here and they'll be mad. Yeah, we're not supposed to be here. There's a ghost around. Do you really believe that? People say that just to scare us. but I heard Grandma say something shiny was near the falls. That must be some kind of treasure. We have to find it. Hey, guys, help, little help. I don't like how they just peace out. I mean, that's true. Kids would do that, wouldn't they? So here, I'll turn it down a little bit more to about this rate. Hopefully this will help, guys. Let me know on the audio. Whew, that hurt. No way to get back up. Now what am I going to do? Okay, just checking the controls here. We seem to be good. I always found this weird. There's this one little stream, like, right here. Just for some reason. I don't know. Anyways. Trivia. I know this game extremely well. What do you want from me? I was able to do a rumination on this game without notes. That's how well I know this game. For those of you who've never heard me say this, I play this game generally about once a year. It's one of very few games I replay to such an extent. Now, what's funny is this is one of those... here's another example of the river I just mentioned. This is one of those traditions that was never designed or intended. I didn't just sit down one day and say, you know what? I want to play Psalm once a year. What actually happened, if I could just talk about this for a second, is I was hanging out with my friend, Gary, who I've known since 98 or 99, somewhere around there. And, oh, no. Actually, I think I met him in the year 2000, my bad. Anyways, so, we've been friends for forever. And we were sitting down one time and we were like, let's play Psalm. And I was like, yeah, okay. So we co-opted Psalm because he loved Psalm and I loved Psalm. Pretty duh, right? So we played it and we had fun with it. And then pretty much without any deliberate or intention, the next year, roughly, it was actually like 9 or 8 months later, next year-ish, we were like, you know what? We should do backseat runs. It's actually where the term backseat gaming actually came from, the whole backseat thing. And we're like, okay, well, what should we do? We should do Psalm. And the both of us were like, no, that's stupid. We both know that game too much. We ended up doing Illusion of Gaia, actually. It was our first backseat game ever. But then we were like, you know what? We should play Psalm. So we played Psalm again. And it just kind of became a thing. Like it was just like, you know what? Let's play Psalm again. In fact, it's actually funny because I obviously no longer live near where Gary lives. And yet, despite that, basically by coincidence, we have kept that tradition going to the modern era. We haven't played it yet in 2018, but we did play this game together in 2017. That's how contiguous of a tradition this has been. So yeah, I know this game kind of well. I was actually working on a task for this game. I ended up giving up on it in favor of the Chrono Trigger Level 1 task, which you might have heard of, and if you haven't, that makes me sad. You should go watch it. Go watch it. Do it. So, I want to talk about two things about this game that are not good. The first thing that's not good about this game is the translation. This is actually one of those games that was worked on by Woolsey, and he had to chop an absolutely insane amount of dialogue from this game in order to basically get it fit, and in order to get it to physically fit, because they, you know the whole story, right? Oh, yeah, by the way, that's his dad. But because of the fact that they went down back to a SNES cartridge, they had space issues, so gargantuan chunks of this game were cut. Both in terms of content, terrain, and actual literal story, which is one of the reasons why most people, if I said the name Mavolia to you, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Boop. Yeah, this right here is where I fell in love with the game. When I was talking about it earlier. Anywho, so the translation itself is basically not good. There's no nice way to say that. It is very Woolsey. It is distinctly his style. But one of the other things that's really weird about it is I want you to pay attention to the dialogue in some scenes, because they use exclamation points a lot. It's one of those things I don't think I ever really noticed until I started analyzing it for the rumination. Because virtually every line of dialogue is said as if it's shouting! Hey! What's you? And what's this sword? Did you pull the sword? Yes, I pulled the sword. Why did you pull the sword? I don't know, I pulled the sword. Yeah, there's an exclamation point in every freaking line of dialogue. It's kind of weird. Not literally every line of dialogue, but most of them. It's just a very strange translation choice. I don't know what was up with that. Of course, the biggest flaw of this game is the cut content, as I mentioned earlier. Come on. I can talk a lot about the functionality and gameplay of this game, but you're not here to see that. Nobody cares about that. Nobody watches the Lore Runner for gameplay, am I right? There we go. That's what I wanted. Alright, how many of you used to do this pretty much out of habit? In fact, I got a better question. How many of you think this is better than normal attacks? Yeah, FF6 also had the exclamation point problem. Chrono Trigger kind of did, but they kind of started toning it back by then. Whoops. I actually missed. For the record, I'm not actually good at the boy. Go figure. Gary's usually the boy, and I'm the sprite. Or the girl. They might be like, why would you be the girl? Well, the girl is better to cast as the sprite. Bonus points if you know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, speaking of innovative things, this is the menu system. Oh yeah, speaking of which, I need to rebind some keys. There we go. There we go. I basically use the key binding that's exact opposite of whatever the default is. But yeah, I do love the way they do the menu. I really do. We later get more menu options, but it's just a cool thing. I don't really have much else to add to it. So what do we got? Oh yeah, one other tiny little thing. I just want to point this out. You notice how it centers on me? I am told the one in the remake doesn't center on the person doing it. No, Veldrin. It's actually solely based on hits, and hits in certain zones, basically. So, boy! Exclamation point. You're not hurt! Exclamation point. They just told me what happened. I thought you were a goner! Exclamation point. I told you it was stupid to bring someone like him along! Exclamation point. I'm just making my point here. I'll stop doing this after this conversation. You idiots! Exclamation point. Weren't you told not to go there? Huh? Boy! Boop. What's that you have? Oh no, it could. Oh no! Boop. It couldn't be. Boop. Cool! Boop. Did you find the treasure? Way to go! Boop. What have you done? Question mark and an exclamation point. How could you have pulled out the Monosword? It's impossible, Boop. The Monosword? Boop. Legend has it our village is finished. If the sword is removed. And here it is, Boop! It is said the Monosword's been protecting our village from disaster. That's one of the very few period sentences. So that's it, Boop. That's why all the monsters are attacking us now, Boop. How can an outsider like you yank the sword and bring doom to us all? Double Boop! No, this is a SNES game. Hey, Boop. Stop it, Boop. You did it, Boop. It's your fault, Boop. You, Boop. Please stop, Boop. Why, Boop? Earthquake, Boop. I think I made my point. There are many exclamation points. How many of you killed this the first time without dying? You notice I'm not raising my hand. Damn it. There's actually a surprising amount of specific strategy that goes into the fighting of this game. Every single one of those sentences ended in an exclamation mark. But the timing, the hurt boxes, and hit boxes of this game are very unique. Now, they're not actually good. To be clear, they're not actually really that good. In fact, you could argue that a lot of the design of this game is legitimately bad. Because, and I've actually been trying to show this off here. You notice how sometimes he'll get hurt, even though I'm 10 feet away, and swung like a 5 seconds ago? Or occasionally I'll get hurt, even though he's not swinging anywhere near me? So I'm just kind of trying to show off the uniqueness of the hurt boxes and the hit boxes. They're all like this. All of them. All of the enemies in this game are like this. Gary and I one time we went through this. We actually did a melee-only run, except where you have to cast magic, because there's like 5 bosses in the whole game you have to cast magic on. And that was rough. Not because, basically just because of the weird way they do hurt boxes and hit boxes in this game. So here's Gemma, or Gemma. I suppose we'll see how he pronounces himself, because suppose he's going to have voice acting in the remake. Which isn't out yet. God damn it. Oh my god, something happened. You can also kind of see one of the other things here about this game. This was their first entrance into trying to make branching story. How many of you know just how much the first chapter of this game can vary significantly based on the order in which you do things? Pretty much as soon as you get exiled from Potos here. I love this, by the way. He goes south there. That's just trees. There's like nothing there. Maybe he goes over here. I don't know. Anyways, once you get exiled, you can go to the town, or you can take the cannon travel. And then there's a cutscene which may or may not play depending on which route you took. And then there's another cutscene which may or may not play depending on which route you took. So you may or may not get captured and have the girl save you. You may or may not end up going to the other city, the actual kingdom, which is where you can meet the girl and then take her to the woods, at which point they'll find out you can't progress, and then you can take the girl to the actual Gaia's Navel. But if you go to Gaia's Navel without seeing the other 3 cutscenes I just mentioned, she'll actually leave you at Gaia's Navel. But once you go to the Gaia's Navel, if you do it in that way, you can then go back and hit the town, and then hit the woods, then get her, then permanently keep her, then go to Gaia's Navel. And I'm not actually covering everything, because I don't want to bore you guys, but you get the point here. Money, money! And yes, I know that you can go in the upper left, by the way, Guru of Time. I was trying to show off the hurt box, hitbox thing, as I just mentioned. Love this music. Sorry. A lot of my favorite songs are on this soundtrack. A lot of 00 playlist songs are on this are from this game. I think I'd need the... Yeah, okay. There's a way to glitch past that guy. I'm not going to show it off. Yeah, you can walk to him. Here, I'll show you right now, Vandalia. Check it out. You're supposed to take the cannon travel, which is right there. However, and all of these signs are actually accurate in the first area. Pandora. That's the name of the kingdom. I can never think of the name of that damn kingdom. Right here, there might be a cutscene, depending on what you do. Oh, come on. Yeah, well, that's fine. You can also do what I just did, if you time it right. Actually, if you've been paying attention, I've done the attack while getting up animation several times. Also, this cutscene may or may not play, depending on what you've done. You can also do it with a couple of items, Guru. But yeah, the easiest way by far is just to use other party members, because then you can just mash select and do it instantly and without difficulty. I have no idea, Scotty Good. I don't know if it's any good or not. That's part of the point of the premiere run. And if it ever comes out, we'll actually go and talk about it. What's funny is I praise the sprite work of this game, but you can also see the holes in the sprite work, like almost literal holes, because there's some times where the sprite work basically just isn't. That is just the weirdest exposition. So that's... I want to mention what I was talking about earlier. You know how I mentioned the text was squished? So what he just said was, hey, pay some respect. This is the Sage. And then the boy says, what? So you're saying this is Sage Luca, who's over 200 years old? All of that was squeezed into a single text box. That was supposed to be like a whole cutscene by itself. So if you ever wondered why the exposition in this game is terrible, it's because it was condensed like crazy. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Oh, no exclamation points there. That's actually really surprising. There's an exclamation point. Which version, Softcom? Oh god, I can't remember which one you are. Ugh, why do you have the same account? I have a problem remembering names in general. That's why I usually use the Twitch name, so I can just look and say that it's that person. Can someone poke at me in about 29 minutes? But yeah, if you're looking for an in-depth story with fleshed-out characters, this is not it. Although it was probably supposed to be, and I have to say probably because surprisingly little of the original documents for the design of this game have survived. However, we also know that a decent amount of what was in this game, what was cut from this game, ended up in other games, notably Xenogears, Chrono Trigger, and the other big one I can't remember the name of right now. Parasite Eve, that's it. That's it. Make of that what you will. Power. I always love that dialogue option. Power. Fully fleshed out characters? Like in any game ever? Ooh, that's a tough one. Yes, it was Dakota. 93. This was before all the other games I just mentioned. This is one of those very ambitious games, which is funny because we were just talking about that when it came to Oblivion, which we were playing yesterday. Very, very ambitious game. They really wanted to go full town with this one. And it shows because they overextended themselves basically everywhere. Also, I mentioned only 2 of the major flaws in this game. The third major flaw is this is a very glitchy game. Some of those glitches are beneficial and you can use to your advantage. Some of them are just cosmetic, and then some of them are pretty bad. This is the game in which it is actually possible to literally get soft-locked just by playing it normally. It is a very, 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 very buggy game. Interesting, Vandalia. I do want to show off one other thing really quickly, even though I literally can't physically show you. It's an amazing game that is also has severe issues, but it's still an amazing game that everyone should play. So, whoops. Oh yeah, you notice I'm waiting on attacking too. It's not just for filling up the bar. Enemies do have iframes, but they're weird. So, you'll notice my weapon isn't out here. In fact, I literally can't swing my sword. So there's 2 types of territories, basically ID codes for locations in this game. And it basically boils down to in-combat area, out-of-combat area. If you're in an in-combat area, there's different formulas that affect things differently, and if you're in an out-of-combat area. This is also why most of the cutscenes happen in out-of-combat areas. But the other thing to note is if you want to, I don't know, just for example, raise your cure magic, obviously you're going to do so here. Well, don't do that. Because while you're on this type of a map, you're raising it at about half the rate. If you want to go raise cure magic, take 1 step to the right, so you're in an in-combat area, got the weapon out, start casting it here, and then going right back here. It's also possible to literally save people's lives in this game with proper timing. Gary and I have actually gotten pretty good at that. What I mean by that is if, for example, I have died and hit 0 health, if I get a heal, not a res, but a heal off with the right timing, I won't actually die. Basically, it negates the death by... Think of it like Magic the Gathering. Like, okay, here's the attack damage that kills you, but then while the killing... What's supposed to happen next is this card that actually puts me into death status. But if I can get the heal in first, that resolves before the death status, and then the death status never resolves because I actually have positive health. So. Whoops. Oh, wow, Tigzar. I didn't know that. And I probably should have been looking at my screen. I literally wasn't looking at my screen. One other thing. So I mentioned, you know, the how many people habitually do this thing, right? So the simplest way I could summarize why that's a bad idea is, for the most part, for most weapons, just a basic 100% swing is going to be better damage over time than actually charging. There are exceptions to that, though. Either enemies with particular defense or weakness to a specific type, or some of the special power attacks for weapons are very, very useful or have additional effects, or have completely different calculations for the actual effect, or hit an AoE, which is useful. And then also there's ways to stagger that to the point where you can basically break the damage cap. God damn it, pay attention, Laura. So, fun fact, you actually can't die from poison in this game, you just sit at 1 HP. That's actually pretty normal for the era. Now, the other thing I want to point out, oh yeah, by the way, for those of you not aware, Kingdom Come Deliverance, by request, has been added to the possibilities for premiere runs list. I've had several people request that, so just pointing it out, because I know not all of you check the website. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, another little funny thing about this game. So the damage cap is 999, except you can completely break that if you don't let the damage cap resolve. Yep, that's nice. That's nice, that's nice. Yep, there we go. Now what I mean by that is the damage cap in this game is usually triple digits, 999. However, if you do enough damage and then don't let the damage resolve, goes back to that stacking thing, and you just keep doing damage, eventually their death will basically interrupt the stack. So you could just keep doing damage and damage and damage and never let those numbers pop up, and you could do 2,000 or 8,000 or 7,000 damage, and then they just die. Now, if you screw up, and you do 5,000 damage, but they're not dead, and then you lose the stack, then what happens is you only do 999 damage, if that makes any sense. Because it doesn't calculate the damage until it says they're dead, or until it resolves the stack. Damn it, a little too early. Oh no! Goblins! This is a surprising turn of event. Help! You, do not move. Just stay still. You are very lucky. You're gonna be our main dish. Eating people is so funny. It's a very lighthearted game. Actually, this game is really, really dark if you pay attention to it. But it's one of those games that you have to pay attention to it to realize how dark it is. Hey, it's Girl. I don't even remember her name, her canon name. I remember Papoy, that's all I remember. Which is the sprite. What are you doing here? I've been searching for someone. For a second I thought you were him. In case I'm mistaken it in, huh? Guess I lose. Now wait a minute. I'm only joking. Look, I'm in a hurry. So, peace! Wait, don't come back. Oh, wow. Didn't even learn her name. I mean, if your name was Girl, you probably wouldn't tell most people your name either, would you? I should probably get another level in here. I've done low-level playthroughs of this game. They're actually very mean. Like, really, really, really mean. And I'm not gonna do that here. Yeah, kind of, Mugen. I can see that. Hate these guys. Die, Toad. Yes, that's a heart on his cap, I guess? Oh yeah, by the way, another little funny fact, and this is something that would kind of later lead to that whole ARPG thing. The input that you do and the way you're moving before you swing changes your swing. Now, that's not just cosmetic, so if I do the swipe, or... hang on. Hang on, give me a second. And... now it's not doing it. There we go. Or the stab. That is a different hurt box. In general, you want the swipe. It's by far the best thing for most of these, because it has the biggest hurt box. But I find that funny because it's the kind of thing that, you know, would, again, be more relevant in later ARPGs, which were a little better designed. Yep, those are the very first Heartless right there. I'm only kind of kidding about that. So here's Pandora, the weirdest kingdom ever. For reasons that I will never ever understand, older RPGs, especially SNES RPGs, had this weird thing about NPCs constantly being animated. Now, I know why they did it in the original Dragon Warrior. We know the answer to that. It's because there was a fear that the sprites were very difficult to see against the backdrop. So they made them moving so you can always see what the sprites were. But for some reason, people just kept doing this. So here we are in a SNES game, and there's this random roaming AI, and it affects, like, the overwhelming majority of NPCs in the entire game. So they just roam, like, all over the place. And it can lead to some interesting situations, because there's nothing governing that. It's basically, what happens is they pick a direction. You know, they roll it. Basically, they roll a dice to pick a direction, and then they roll a dice to pick a duration. So then they move for X duration. Not X distance, just X duration. And they roll another dice to pick a new direction, and roll another dice to pick a new duration. And they just keep doing that forever. It's really weird. I don't know why that's a thing, but whatever. Dad, you're impossible! So here we have something that I imagine most people didn't even notice their first time playing this game. Did you know she's actually royalty? Or I should say nobility, to be more accurate. She is literally the daughter of one of the noblemen of the kingdom. I know, right, Tigzar? So what should we name her, guys? Unfortunately for some, we have very, very, very limited character space. Like, the average back in the day was 6 characters. But, as you can see here... Oh, whoops, hang on. Oh, it is actually 6 characters, my bad. I thought it was less. Girl with a U. I do too, Dream Whisper. Wonderful music. I hope the remake does it justice. I actually have a timer set for when the remake's supposed to be available. Go, go, go. Boy A. Oh yeah, all caps too. I swear it was less than... Oh no, I'm thinking of Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger's the one that has a 5 character limit, that's right. Which means my name wouldn't fit. You got it, Absurdity. We'll call her... Oops. I literally don't remember what her canon name's supposed to be, and I don't even care right now. You can call me Girl! Now, what's funny is I've heard some people who've played this game a little bit who make fun of her because she's so useless. I think those people have no idea what they're talking about. She is probably the actual linchpin of the party. Because she's the healer. She is pretty much the healer. She also is the one who has buffs, which are very useful later on, and debuffs, which are somewhat useful early on. She also can wreck the second-to-last boss by herself. So, yeah. Oh yeah, everyone's spacing out in town. Well, not everyone, but you know, ... That's another thing Woolsey was known for. ... I actually, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this. I sort of picked up the ellipses thing. That's what those are called, the ... I actually picked up the habit of using those in my writing a lot because I played so many games that Woolsey had translated. Oh yeah, let's change her AI really quick. First of all, put on the spear. And let's set you to... How do I want to do this? Let's just set her to super aggressive. Screw it. Kill everything. Anyways, that's a good question, Tiff. I hope to find out. Believe it or not, so let's talk about the remake really quick. I know very, very little about the remake, and that's actually frustrating. I know they've changed the graphics, and I know the dialogue is different. I don't know if it's better translated. I don't know if it has the missing content added in. I don't know what they've done with the combat. I know almost nothing about this remake. It's actually frustrating how little information there's been about it. And I should go ahead and mention right now... Excellent, Carvin, thank you. I should just mention right now that I don't think it's going to be good. I mean, I hate to say that. I hate to be so negative. But I don't actually think the port, the Secret of Mana PC version I'm going to be playing in half an hour, is going to be good. And I'd like to give my two big reasons for that, other than just basic cynicism, obviously. Reason number one. It's made by the people who did the Adventures of Mana port. And that port was a crap port. I mean, I could go into details, but it was a crap port. And it's even more frustrating because it was a crap port made after a proper remake was made at that freaking game. Apparently it got a bad review at Polygon. I don't... And? Sorry. I can't count how many times I've disagreed with game reviewers, so that doesn't really mean much to me personally. Anyways, so that's the first reason. It's made by a company that is proven bad at this kind of thing, with this very series. I did it a little too early. The second reason I'm hesitant is because I have recently played Romancing Saga 2 on the PC. And that was a port which I was basically burned on. It was not what I wanted at all. It was a port. It was a good port. I'll even give it that. I'll even give it that it was a good port. But it was a port. It was not a proper remake, which is exactly what I wanted. And it kept a lot of the base flaws of the game. And it's also the only premiere run ever I have not actually completed. So, make of that what you will. Whoops, a little too short. Did I mention Reach is a thing in this game? I think this is actually the game where I started that. Some of my viewers, especially Roximus over there, probably knows that in just about any action game ever, you know, whether it's a fighter game, or it's a ARPG, or it's a spectacle fighter like Devil May Cry or whatever, I prefer weapons with long reach. I prefer to have that kind of playstyle. God, I hope not, Vanellia. So I prefer that type of playstyle in general. This game is pretty much where that thing started, because, you know, the sword doesn't reach as far as the spear, so the spear kind of became my default weapon because of that additional reach. Now, you might say, oh, we'll use the ranged weapons. Well, no, because the ranged weapons in this game kind of suck. They are pretty much worse in every way than their melee contemporaries, with one noteworthy exception, which is the Javelin when you upgrade it to 3, I think? I forget the exact level, but there's a level of the Javelin which has a wonderful status effect built in. And usually I level it to that point and then never level it again because the status effect is more useful than the damage. And yes, that's why I main Sephiroth over in Dissidia, because he has incredible reach. That's why I was also really good at Tidus in Dissidia NT, because he has incredible reach. I guess I'll just do a save state here, whatever. We won't have save states when we do the next game. Yeah, me too, Vendel. It takes a damn long time, doesn't it? What's your favorite place to do it? I have 2, personally. I hope so, Renegade. The hit detection, so like I said, the hurt boxes and the hit boxes of this game are really, really wonky. Like, really bad. Like, after a while you get used to them, but they're still bad. You know? They're still not good. As I demonstrated with the Mantis fight earlier. You also have to kind of guide the AI into doing anything, and sometimes the AI gets completely broken and you have to do this in order to actually fix it. You can switch between characters with select, by the way. So this is another aspect of the hurt and hit detection that's just weird. He's on a lower level than us, but he can actually hit us if he hits it in just the right way, which I'm not going to stick around to let him do, but I just wanted to... I was actually kind of hoping he would, just so I could demonstrate what I was talking about. Come on, come on. Also, it's kind of funny. I mentioned earlier that the stack. Another really funny one for that, a little funny anecdote really quick here, is that the game knows what has happened even before it presents it to you. So this can lead to some funny situations where there's an enemy that's lying on the ground like, ugh, still doing its stunned animation, and the stunned animation has to conclude before it can do its next animation, whether that's getting up or whether it's dying. But sometimes you'll kill something and then it'll be like, ugh, and then you'll get the message, you've just leveled, even though the enemy hasn't on your screen physically died yet. So, I wonder what they've done. Oh god! Is that on? It is on. Okay, good. So, thank you very much, Valvedrix. I know your situation's unique, so all I'm gonna say is thank you. No, this is on the SNES, bro. What are you talking about? Oh, that's a guy. That's a guy. So, can I say that one of the things I like most about this game, other than the incredible gameplay that is very bugged, and the co-op, which is amazing, is the whimsy of it. I wish Django was here, because I could talk about this with him. But Takoida, I know you at least and I have talked about this. One of the things I liked about Morrowind was it had a lot of weird going for it, you know what I mean? It was just, you know, there was just kind of a weird, wacky sort of a sense to it, and this game has kind of a similar whimsy to it because, hang on, let me make sure I do this right. Oop, there we go. Of course, Probe. That's why I gave up to it. So this is the fast travel of this game. I don't know what else I can add to that, really. That's how you get around until you get an airship, such as it is. Your airship's actually a... Well, she's not a dragon. She's actually a monobeast, but... Cannon travel, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, we actually don't want to be there. I just wanted to show off cannon travel. Oh, yeah, enemies... Enemies respawn per screen. So in other words, anytime you do a screen transition, anything you just left behind respawns. The only exception being trigger enemies like bosses and whatnot. Okay, we gotta be very careful here, actually, because these enemies are higher level than us by quite a bit. And they're ranged, and they're hanging out in places we can't reach with melee areas. We're actually not going through the whole forest. I know, right, Crow? Gosh. I'd do it. I have a bad back and I do it. Also, pro tip, if you're having trouble with your AI, get rid of all the obstacles. Okay. Come on, come on. There we go. The turtle. Yeah, he was pretty funny. I'll give him that. Or give you that, whatever. And now that we've triggered that, we can now keep her when we go down into the underground. So if you ever wondered how to keep the girl when you go to get the sprite, that's how. We can just turn around right now, which is what we're going to do. We're going to get the hell out of here. Morning, Blue Wolf. As you can see, according to Prog especially, I have gotten tired of Elder Scrolls. I hate Elder Scrolls, especially my favorite Elder Scrolls that, honestly, I felt we were doing really good on with the lore run. And I decided to just not do it ever again. So you know, okay, I want to point out what I did there, in case you missed it. I was deliberately keeping these two enemies that you can't see, the ones that were over there on the right. Ah, God damn it. I'm gonna get killed trying to showcase. Yep, I just got killed showcase. Anyways, so I kept the two enemies that were up there specifically on the screen because the enemy has a hard cap of 3 enemies on the screen at a time. It actually can lead to some weird things later. So it didn't spawn that guy, the guy who just killed me, and it didn't spawn the one who can be here, who could have killed me too. And then I turned around to showcase it and I got killed, but whatever. Yep, I'm not uploading it and I've abandoned it. This is what's happening. Definitely that and nothing else. Okay, Zillow. I wasn't going to. I was going to do the route I'm showcasing right now, but for you. It's apparently Prim. Gotcha. I wouldn't know. So, how many of you really hate the res mechanics of this game? Yeah, resing's actually such a pain. I'm kind of screwed right now. What's my gold at? Okay. You can really bug out the sleeping sprites in this game. It's kind of funny. So, there we go. Now, I want to point out one other thing really quick, which... So first of all, actually, I meant to point this out earlier. Someone actually mentioned this. You can just push NPCs in this game. I feel like they learned their lesson from FF4 on the SNES. For those who don't remember, it was really easy in FF4 to basically get stuck behind an NPC and wait for their random roaming thing to let you get free. But so in this game, they're like, all right, here, and you can actually shove people like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. I just find that amusing. Damn it. I was even trying to skip him. Fine. Come on, come on. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to point out. So, the AI gets very stuck in this game trying to follow you. Like, really stuck. To the point where it's actually kind of silly and aggravating, especially if you're playing this game solo. Now, the reason I point that out is because their AI works a lot better when they're dead. Seriously. I'm not trying to say this to be evil or whatever, but they will have a much easier chance of following you when they're dead. So one of the things I used to do as a regular strategy when playing this game normally is basically just run through as fast as I could and let them die, and once they died, keep running. And then when I got to a boss or whatever, I just res them. Or just kill the boss myself, because I'm playing the sprite, and I can solo bosses with the sprite. And killing a boss is a full heal, so they get right back up. So, the action grid, that's actually a good thing to bring up, Zalog. Oh yeah, we're actually going to show off status effects here. I mentioned the whimsy thing. Hang on. Come on, do it, do it. I'm right here, do it. Do it! There we go. So, the stun, I should say, mechanic in this game is called ballooned. It's a big balloon that attaches to you, and you can't move or do anything while you're doing it. Oh, if you're wondering what that noise is, that's snoring. That's this guy. Yeah, you have to go get the trigger from the woods first in order to come here. So these are either really frustrating or a leveler's dream, depending on your preference. Every slime in the game has a special status where when they melee you, they have a very high chance to affect you with a status effect. These guys is poison. Some of it's frosty, some of it's burning. These guys can really, really, really suck. Oh, there it is. There's the timer. Ooh. Hey, KO. Don't leave. Stay here. It's cool. Okay, so let's see if it's available. This game will unlock in approximately less than an hour. Oh, come the hell on. It's 11:10. Anyway, so that's how they do status effects. So the AI, I wanted to talk about the AI. So the AI in this game is a lose-lose situation if they're not dead. No matter what you set them to on the grid, it sucks. Like, it sucks for falling you, I should clarify. One thing most people aren't aware of, I've noticed, is that... yeah, I know. Yes, we're waiting on the new version. That's why I'm playing this. Why would you release a game in the middle of the day? Like, can anyone give me any legitimate reason for that? Even Pacific time, this is still releasing at, like, 9 or whatever. Anyways, so one thing not everyone's aware of, which I wanted to showcase... because there's, like, nothing that indicates this. Where you set them on this grid actually affects their stats. They get increased evasion and increased attack hit rating depending on where you put them on this. So there's actually setups specifically to do that. For example, when you're tassing, which is the only reason I even know about that. But if you set her, for example, here... well, she's going to constantly be trying to get away from enemies, which means she's going to be going the opposite direction you are. So unless you're killing, you're going to have to basically be dragging her through stuff. If you set her to approach, but not attack, she's going to be doing this back and forth thing, which means that she's going to be rubber banding, and you'll have to once again drag her away. If you do this, she'll be berserker rushing, trying to kill everything, which means you have to drag her. And if you do attack but keep away, it's like the worst of all options. So no matter which corner you put her in, or them in, it is bad for getting the AI to do that. Now, there is a way to force the AI to follow you, and it's the run button. The moment you hit the run button right there, they will drop everything and come follow you. So, if you're ever really getting irritated trying to get the AI to show up, the run button basically turns off their AI. And sets them to the dead AI. The only problem is, you can't run without a full bar, and run gets interrupted by virtually everything. For example, if I run north right now, it stops, like, as soon as I hit the wall. I don't know, Blue Wolf Alex. You can also do a run into an attack, like I just showcased there. Ah, probably Dakota. Wouldn't surprise me. So these are really good exp, I just don't care right now. I shouldn't even be playing this game right now. God damn it. I hate playing one of my favorite games of all time. You know, it took me a long time to realize these were bats. I mean, I know they're called blats, but, like, I looked at the sprite and I didn't realize that cute little thing was their face. I thought it was, like, the ears were their eyes and the teeth was, like, part of a skull face or something. It took me forever to figure out what I was looking at. I have no idea. I think Blue Wolf Alex secretly hates us all, that's why. God damn it. Oh yeah, by the way, gear matters a lot in this game. Like, a whole lot. The difference gear makes is astonishing. I'm not even kidding with that. Now, that's funny I say that because if you gear up properly as you go through this game, it's actually a relatively easy game, with a few moments of notable difficulty. I usually don't do that. I usually have a method where I wait until I hit the Golden City, and then I buy the gear in the Golden City, which is the 3rd best gear you can buy in the game, and the 5th best gear in the game, period. I probably will not be doing that for the remake, by the way. Because death is inevitable, and I don't have save states on the PC version. Oop. Right. Hi! Quickly. Getting this is completely optional, but you really should. So there's my little pro tip of the day. Get the magic rope. Even though it gets you killed, it's still worth doing it. Ah, crap. Hang on. It's okay, we're almost there. I'm going the wrong way. Oh, I'm in the leveling spot, that's why. Duh. And yeah, save states, I mean, God's sakes, it's not like quick saves, which are effectively save states, aren't a thing, you know, and haven't been a thing since the 90s. When did Half-Life 1 come out? Just real quick. '99, there you go. We've had save states provably and definitively since '99. I don't remember if Quake had saves, quick saves. I really don't. Like, I legit don't remember. The first game I remember actively using quick save frequently is Half-Life 1. That's why I went straight to that one. Yeah, let's see if it's out yet. Oh, for God's sakes! Let me down! Why won't you let me download it? Why won't you at least let me pre-install? God's sakes. See you around next time. Anyways. So yes, these are the dwarves who are also sprites who are also Vikings. But let's be honest, the only dwarf that matters is Watts. Watts is awesome. I feel like I have Mugen, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't know what it is off the top of my head. PC, obviously. Why would I ever want it on the PS4 or the Vita? I don't know, Takoya. Honestly, this game has had such an extremely weird release and just general lack of support from the studio. Like, virtually no marketing campaign, no buzz, no preamble, no, hey, we're going to stream the game before it comes out. No nothing. It's just, it's really, really strange. I don't know what to make of it. Oh, actually, let's not do that yet. Ah, I screwed up, didn't I? When did I save last? Okay. Yes, Mugen. Oh, right. That's how I know what it is. Okay, yep. The Sprout. I like it. So yes, I do know what Project Borealis is, I just couldn't remember. The Rabbite Man. The only one in the world. One Rabbite, one man. Rabbite Man. Hey, pipe down. Presenting the actual very rare Sprite Child. Oh, excuse me. I do kind of like how they use the Midge mallet for the show here. That's a little tidbit that's almost lost in the English translation. I know, right, Rox? Oh my god, a 50,000 GP debt. No. Here, have my money. That poor Sprite. Well, it always feels good to give to charity, you know, to help people out in their everyday life and... Wait, what? Every sentence in that screen had an exclamation point, by the way. Oh yeah, amnesia. Just saying real quick. Amnesia. Oh yeah, by the way, Sprite is funny because Sprite was originally designed to be a guy in the original Japanese. Yes, Mugen. Sprite was originally supposed to be a guy. Then there were some concerns that Sprite was actually a girl, and it depended on which region it was localized in, for which it was actually presented as, whether it was male or female. I have been told that in this version, Sprite is now referred to as them and they. So I guess they just went full-on non-gendered with it. Are we ready to download yet? Please? If you don't come out for another hour for no reason, even though it was like less than an hour and it clearly indicated it was coming out at 11. Ah, damn it, why isn't it out yet? Why? FF6, Mugen. Seriously. I'm not just saying it because it's FF6. I can't even download it yet, KO. It's not even available yet. I'm still waiting for it to come out. I hate it when they pull this crap. It doesn't happen that often. Usually when a game comes out on a date, it comes out on midnight of that date. Either midnight Pacific, which is the most common, or midnight relative to your region when they do a staggered release schedule. This game's coming out at... Yes, the download will take time, too. It's another reason I'm pissed off they're not letting me pre-install. But no, seriously, Amnesia... They do bad Amnesia here. I'm just going to say it as bluntly as I can. Because the Sprite has Amnesia, which conveniently goes away anytime it needs to, and then comes back when it needs to. It's actually kind of worse than Galoof's in that respect. Whatever. Let's buy some damn gear. Let's see. Trying to remember what I usually do here. I have no idea how big it's gonna be. Yeah, let's do this. I mean, I love FF5, but Galoof's Amnesia, wow. So my stats just skyrocketed because of the way this game calculates stats. I'm serious. No, I'm not going to do a negative to the game for the release schedule. If I was going to do that, it would be for the lack of support from the studio in general, which I've already mentioned. You know, usually PC releases are better for premiere runs like this. Anybody who's watched my show for a while knows that when I get a premiere run for a game that I have to get a physical copy of, I usually just schedule the premiere run for the next day to accommodate for shipping and problems. Oh wait, hang on, I have the wrong weapon on. Give me my spear. I'm gonna used to play this game just for fun. I don't mean Som, I mean the pumpkin game. Damn it. A little too slow. Yeah, almost every... This is going back to the FF4 problem. Anybody who's played FF4 on the SNES knows that it basically doesn't tell you what half the gear does. It wasn't until FF6, at least here in the States, that we actually got an explanation for what all this stuff did. Aw. Hey, Kay. Haven't seen you in a bit. I'm guessing you just don't like Elder Scrolls, which is fine. Not everyone likes everything. 11 gigs? You gotta be kidding me! Well, considering I have Comcast, we'll see how long that takes. Really nice if I could pre-install. No! Okay, she's dead, thank goodness. I could have saved her life, but eh. She is worthless to me. There we go. Yeah, I mean, you just see this boss in every game. I just get so tired of the bog standard fights in this game, where it's nothing but pineapple people and who shoot bouncing pumpkins and with clown heads. Probably not Absurdity now. Nice, Mugen. I know it, Kay. Everyone, I want you to descend on Kay with ravenous vigor and rip him limb from limb with your bare hands. Could you do that for me, please? Sure, I'll accompany the Sprite to the palace. Why not? It's gonna be hard getting used to calling Sprite them, because I've been calling Sprite him for a really long time. Sprite? What kind of name is that? Like, nice to meet ya? Yeah, I don't like enemies without health bars. I've made that opinion clear for many years. Hey, look, it's a worthless weapon. Even the charge attacks of the bow are terrible. Yeah, we have the whole party, and two of them are kind of worthless right now. Until they actually get magic, those two are basically a load. So, not super useful. That's what I'm trying to say. You can also keep the brambles from spawning if you keep the pumpkin on the screen, thanks to the sprite limit. That's actually another reason. That's why I originally started doing the pumpkin game. I like both Absurdity. I just look at them as different. It's funny you say that, Tigzar, since the main quest is my favorite part of Morrowind and among my favorite parts of Oblivion. I'm not mentioning any of the other games on that list. Who's Delphine? Oh, Delphine, right. What time is it? Like, I was prepared to play this game for an hour. It's already been an hour and a half. I know, absurdity. I hate to reschedule something after it's basically already started. Like, I legitimately hate to do that. No, I think it's funny when other people think exact opposite I do, Tigzar. That's usually what I mean. Funny you say that. It's like someone walked up to you and say, "Man, FF6 is the worst of the FF series," and I'd say, "Well, funny you say that." You know, that's what I mean by that. Yeah, no kidding, Vandalia. This has happened before. Not often. It's actually pretty rare. Most of the times when a game comes out on PC, they either let me pre-install it, in which case I would have had this installed for forever, or, you know, it comes out at the appropriate time. There have been times where I'm like, okay, I got to play another game while I wait. Oh, it came out. Let's switch over. And it comes out earlier than it's supposed to, not later. I'll flip for it. If we're doing Oblivion, we're just doing it for today, and tomorrow we'll definitively do Psalm. Well, yeah, apparently the coin says we should do Oblivion for the rest of the day, so whatever. I guess we'll do that. So for those of you watching this extremely short preamble to the Psalm premiere run on YouTube, hi. I hope you'll join us on the next video when we'll hopefully actually have the goddamn game to play.